Okay, family, 3 a.m., wide awake, staring at the ceiling. Sound familiar? If you're in perimenopause or menopause, you already know some nights sleep just doesn't happen the way it used to, and the next morning, you still have to function, you still have a job, kids, and a life. So today, I'm walking you through exactly what I do to get through the day after a rough night. The routine, the mistakes I used to make, and how I use real food, not just supplements, to manage this. I'm 71 years old. I've spent my life in fitness as a competitive bodybuilder, a fitness instructor, and these days, a plant-based chef. So everything here comes from someone who spent decades paying close attention to how the body actually responds to food and movement, not just what's trending. Let's get into it. I want to start with the moment that made me actually change how I handle these days. Even after years of competing and training my body to push through fatigue, I had a rough stretch of nights during perimenopause where I realized willpower wasn't going to fix the way it used to when I was 30. I tried to push through a training session on almost no sleep, and my body simply didn't respond the way it always had. That was the wake-up call that I needed, an actual system and not just grit. So that's what I'm sharing today, including how I adjust training on low sleep days. Jumping back to my last video on sleep, this isn't in your head. Falling estrogen affects the actual architecture of sleep, not just how long you're out. So even on a night where you technically got 6 to 7 hours, you can still wake up feeling like you got 0. That means the fatigue you're feeling isn't a personal failure. It's psychological. This is exactly why the push through with more coffee approach usually backfires. On top of that, a lot of us are dealing with night sweats interrupting sleep, or waking up at 3 a.m. and lying there with racing thoughts. Even if you eventually fall back asleep, that fragmentation adds up. Your body doesn't get the deep restorative stretches it needs, so the next day feels foggy, no matter how many hours were technically logged. Now here's the trap I used to fall into. Bad night, reach for coffee all day. Can't fall asleep at a normal time that night. Another bad night, repeat. What I do instead, 1 solid cup in the morning, done by 10 a.m. If I need a second boost, I switch to something lower in caffeine in early afternoon. Nothing with caffeine after 2 p.m., no matter how tempting. This one change alone broke the cycle for me. It took a couple of weeks of discipline before I actually felt different. So if you've tried this, give it more than 1 day before deciding if it's working. Now, this sounds too simple to work, but bright light exposure in the morning, ideally natural sunlight, helps reset your body's clock and generally reduce that groggy, foggy feeling. Even 10 minutes outside with coffee or sitting by a bright window makes a noticeable difference for me. It's not quite going to erase exhaustion, but it cuts through the fog faster than scrolling on my phone in bed. Now, movement of stimulus training your body. This is where my fitness background really comes in. After decades of training, including competing, I had to unlearn the instinct to just push through a workout no matter what. On a low sleep day, your nervous system is already taxed, and hammering through a hard session can actually spike cortisol further and dig you into a deeper hole. We don't want that. So here's what I do instead on those mornings. I still move, but I swap high intensity training for something moderate to light resistance training, stretching, maybe jumping on my rebounder. I lower the weight and intensity, not skip the session entirely. Stay consistent with the habit matters more than pushing a personal record that day. I pay attention to form more than usual since fatigue affects coordination and increased injury risk. If it's a true crash day, even 10 to 15 minutes of walking outside beats sitting still. It's about circulation and nervous system regulation, not calorie burn. Now, the lesson after years of training is this: respecting what your body can do today instead of what you could do yesterday is what keeps you consistent for the long run. Now, this is what I call my nap window. If I can nap, I keep it to 20 minutes max. Here's why. 20 minutes equal light rest, wake up refreshed. 90 minutes equal full sleep cycle, also fine if you have time. Anything in between will equal waking up groggier than before you started. I set a timer, non-negotiable, and I try not to nap after 3 because that's when it starts eating into night sleep instead of just topping off today's tank. Now, this is where being a plant-based chef actually matters, because I'd rather show you real food first and treat herbal supplement as a addition, not the main event. Now let's take a look at some of the foods and supplements that help with sleep. Tart cherries, one of the few natural food sources of melatonin. Walnuts and pumpkin seeds both contain magnesium and tryptophan, supporting compounds. I keep a small bowl of tart dried cherries, walnuts, and pumpkin seeds as an evening snack. Magnesium-rich dinner. Spinach, black beans, and pumpkin seeds together make a simple bowl that supports muscle relaxation and, in my experience, better sleep quality. 1 cup of spinach, 24 grams of magnesium. 1 ounce of pumpkin seeds, 28 grams of magnesium. 1 cup of black beans, 120 milligrams of magnesium. Now let's check out some of our herbal supplements and teas. For daytime energy without overloading on caffeine, ashwagandha, an adaptogen you can take in the morning. Doesn't give you the jittery feeling caffeine sometimes does. Then we have ginseng, used traditionally for stamina and mental clarity. Now, for sleep support the following night as a supplement to the food, valerian root. Valerian root is one of the most researched herbal sleep aids, usually taken 30 to 60 minutes before bed. And of course, chamomile and lavender tea with a little touch of honey. Now I want to be clear. None of these replace medical advice. And if you're on medications, check with your doctor before adding any of these. Some herbs interact with prescriptions, especially blood thinners and antidepressants. A few things I've learned the hard way not to do. Don't over-caffeinate. It steals from tomorrow's sleep. Don't doom scroll in bed when you're tired. It delays sleep even further. Don't try to catch up by staying up late that night out of frustration. This is called revenge, bedtime procrastination, and it makes everything worse. Don't skip meals to save energy. Low blood sugar makes fatigue and brain fog worse, not better. Don't rely on a single fix. This is a combination of small habits, not one magic trick. Now, in closing, bad sleep nights during menopause are frustrating, but they don't have to wreck your whole day. Small adjustments, light, smart movement, smart napping, and a few plant-based tools generally help me get through it. And I've had decades of paying attention to how my body responds to figure out what actually works versus what's just noise. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more real talk on managing menopause for someone who spent an entire lifetime in fitness and the kitchen. And let me know in the comments, what's your go-to move on a rough sleep morning? I want to hear what's working for you. And check out my last video on menopause and insomnia, which covers the nighttime side of all of this. My name is Synovia. This is Eat Plants, Live Well, Peace and Blessings.